Senior coach Brenton Sanderson, our guest. He joins us now. Sando, thanks for your time.
Yep, thanks, Rory.
Oh, look, I don't want to have to start here, but we do. Ricky Henderson, how bad is it? That is just, oh, man, don't like hearing that.
No, I've had a really bad day at work today, Rory. It was one of those just things that happened at your footy club, which you just hate seeing. You know, it was just a really simple training exercise for the guys that didn't play yesterday, and he just got pushed awkward, and he just got pushed as he kicked, and unfortunately all the load went through his ankle, and he's got a broken fibula, so he's having surgery as we speak, and probably puts him out for, I'm guessing, between 12 and 16 weeks. But real shame for us. I'm really flat because he was going to be a really important player for us this year and give us a bit of punch out of half back, and now we'll have to look for the next player to stand up and play that role.
Oh, man, we'll get into who that may or may not be, but that's two freaky training accidents, Sando.
Yeah, that's right. It's our third broken leg in since about round sort of 15 last year. You know, we had obviously Aidan Riley, who broke his leg badly, and he's obviously at Melbourne now on their list, and Josh Jenkins was about round 17, and today Ricky. So we've had a couple of nasty broken legs, which. I mean, I don't know, sometimes they happen in threes, but obviously I'm still in a bit of shock and really disappointed to hear that. But we'll find a way to overcome it, and you know, we've got 47 in our squad, and someone's going to have to stand up, and hopefully it's one of those young kids that showed a bit of promise on the weekend.
Good if there's a milk company out there that wants to sponsor the Crows to get some more calcium in their bones and whatever. Sando, talk about yesterday's game. Did you get out of it what you wanted?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was really impressed with the way that we played in different patches. I still think, you know, there's a lot of work to do before you get everything in place before round one. But I think it was important. And, you know, I've spoken to you guys a lot in the pre-season about making sure we got off to a good start in the NAD Cup, and we tried to get some guys into some form, and we're up and running and playing the way that we want to play, and not sort of flirt with our form too much before we go into round one. So. I'm happy to get the win, happy for a few guys to play well, and yeah, I think there were some good things that came out of the game.
Heard you speak on your post-match press conference, Sando, the handball and the tweaking to your use of handball out of the back half.
Yeah, I thought we used the ball by hand a bit more, you know. I mean, sometimes it was a bit sort of kamikaze style. We sort of flicked it around, and we looked a little bit rusty at times, but last year we kicked the ball a lot more, you know, and at different times with the modern-day defence, sides were able to lock us away, and I was happy yesterday at different times we sort of flicked it around and were able to get out of trouble by hand, and I think the better sides use run and carry to their advantage a bit more often than what we did last year, and that was, I think, important for us to use a bit of that, a little bit more of that run and carry at different times.
I wonder if that allowed you to get the ball in to the beyond 30. I heard you speak about getting your inside 50s a lot deeper, and it seemed to be the case. Mind you, I thought you structured really well. Like your two key forwards seemed to hold their nerve and hold their ground really well, but was obviously a pre-game plan and part of the tweaking to get the ball deeper?
Yeah, it was, and I think Podsy gave us that. You know, Podsy didn't really hit the scoreboard. I think he kicked one goal and had 15 or so possessions, but he gave us that real deep target, you know. It was sort of like Tippett did in 2012, you know. He was that longer option that, and if he didn't mark it, it came to the front. And when he didn't mark it, it was, you know, young Charlie Cameron or Eddie Betts were there to sort of scoop it up. So I thought Brodie Martin played a pretty important role across half forward for us as well. And but certainly we got more balls inside 30 as opposed to sort of inside 50, which is the traditional measure of recording your ball movement.
Sando, is that one of your tweaks then? Like, last year, I heard you quoted say you went 1.6. That's kick to handball ratio. Now you're nearly 1-to-1. Does that mean the quick kick out of stoppage may be gone, or that what you called the chaos kick forward high up in the air, up the line, is out as well? You want to really move out of stoppage with handball? Oh,
yes and no. I think when your numbers are around you, you should use that to your advantage. But also, too, I think under extreme pressure, you still got to kick the ball forward. You know, it can still be a game of yardage at times. And if we've got our forward line fit, and you know, when we get Tex back as well, it looks like we're going to have a pretty dynamic forward line with Podsy Adelaide, Jenkins, you know, Tex. I thought McKernan showed some signs yesterday there, and you know, we know Louis Johnson's going to be an important player. We still haven't seen Tommy Lynch yet So yeah, I think we can put a pretty dangerous forward line out there, and if you can kick it in there and press in after it, you know, you're going to put the opposition under a lot of pressure.
What still needs work?
Oh, we've got lots to do. I mean, it was important that we won and got in some winning form, but there's still plenty of work. We're looking at our forward 50 stoppages. I think we had 18 forward 50 stoppages yesterday, which is good. Plenty of practice. But yeah, scores from stoppage, clearance work. Our centre bounce was really good yesterday. I think we won 19 clearances to 9, I think it was, out of the centre bounce. So that was really good. We'll bring back, you know, Scotty Thompson next week. Andy Otten should return to the side. Probably get little Rory Laird back. So we can still look to introduce a couple more of our senior players and get our best group together as quickly as we can before round one.
Your defensive spread or structures and pressure, you know, midfielders working both ways. I know that's been a focus. We spoke to Richard last week and he said it's been a huge focus with the midfield coach. Yeah. That's still a work in progress?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think every club, not just us, they were looking at our defensive transitions. So that's whenever there's a turnover, we want to prevent the ball going sort of coast to coast. So from our forward 50 back into their forward 50. So we've been doing a lot of that transition work over the summer and trying to prevent the opposition mark chains. Port only had 10 marks in the second quarter, which was something that we really value, but they still took over 80 marks for the game. So we're still looking to, you know, prevent the opposition from controlling the tempo of the game. We would prefer that would be us that controls it.
How do you rate your midfield against the best teams, Sando?
Very highly. I really like our mids. I think when we're all fit and we're up and running, you know, Sloane, Douglas, Dangerfield, Thompson. I really like Grigg and McKay. I think Smith can come through the midfield. I think we actually bat pretty deep in there, and we've got some good coverage. I really like Ellis Yeoman and Kerridge too. I mean, those guys are going to be, I guess, players that come through there at different times through the season and in the future. And I did like Matty Crouch's game yesterday. I thought Matty Wright was back to his 2012 form. And poor old Porps, you know, Porps was on fire till he got hurt. You know, he had 10 or 11 touches in the first quarter and kicked a goal, and that was playing more sort of through that midfield. So I think we bat pretty deep there. I think those guys are going to be a real weapon for us this year, and if we can keep them healthy, I think they're going to be hard to stop. Yeah,
and be less predictable, which I thought was good. You go to middies generally been Tomo, and then there's Danger, and Crouchy's gone through there. I want to talk about little Matt Crouch. I made a big call at the start of the show. Now, Bernie Vince out for Matt Crouch in. I'm comfortable with it. I reckon you would be too, Sando. I know it's one game and against the opposition, but crikey, he knows how to find a ball in traffic off Ruckman's hand.
Yeah, he does. And I said in the press conference afterwards, I was really happy to see Bernie play well for Melbourne on the weekend. I think he looks really fit, and I really hope that he finishes his career off really well at Melbourne. But I guess for us, you know, we've got a really exciting young 18-year-old that's coming into the system now, and to see the two Crouch brothers play together is going to be great for our fans. And, you know, I was really impressed. I think Matt had 20-plus possessions in his limited game time, and he's a real link player. And I think you'll like seeing Brad and Matt play together because they're going to complement each other pretty well. They'll probably punch each other a couple of times, I reckon, as well. As we've actually seen it happen almost on the training track a couple of times, and they just both want to win clearances, and they're going to be pushing each other out of the way to try and win the footy. So, at this stage, I'm happy with how Matt played, and he's going to develop into a really important player for us.
And another talented young kid play out there too, Sando. His name was Charlie Cameron, very nice below his knees. Not sure we're going to see him much this year, but there were just some moments where you thought, and you nod your head and said, oh yeah, I see what they see.
Yeah, I saw that too, Bone. I think he's not going to win a lot of the ball, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he's really exciting, and he loves to tackle and chase too. So he's on our rookie list. Obviously now with two long-term injuries, with sort of Henderson and Van Berlo, we can promote one of those rookies. But I think when he's ready, he's going to be an important player for us. He looks like he's going to be a Crows player for a long time.
This is very good. Now, we can't do the whole interview without talking about Eddie at reasonable length, but I'm sure there was a smile. I know there was a smile. I think you said there was a smile on your head, but when a bloke who you invest a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort into just gets a nice kick in the first minute and kicks a goal, it's sort of a nice moment.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 goals in the first 5 minutes, and I gave Dave Noble, who was sitting next to me, just a little wink, and those boys did a lot of work behind the scenes to ensure that we brought a really good player into our squad for this year. And he looks like, from what you guys saw yesterday and what we've seen on the training track, it looks like we've made a really good investment there. And he's been fantastic, not just on the training track and obviously yesterday, but off the field too. He's been fantastic.
You talk about his leadership, don't you? Which it was sort of surprising for some of us who think we see him and we don't see him as a leader. But you're very complimentary to him and J-Pod about what they've brought to the footy club. You're right, off the field. Yeah,
those guys speak up in meetings a lot, and they actually take over some of the drills out on the training track and sort of help those younger players through different situations. And I was going to mention, we were talking about Charlie Cameron. Well, he's actually living with Eddie and his wife, which is great. They obviously didn't know each other before we drafted Charlie. He comes from up north in Western Australia, and he's now living with Eddie, which is fantastic. So he's a great young leader. He's sort of quieter in the change rooms, but he does speak up when it's time to talk. And I'm really hopeful we can keep him fit and healthy, because I think he's going to have a good season.
Crows coach Brenton Sanderson, our guest. We thank him for his time, very busy. And just repeating that news, Ricky Henderson out with a broken fibula, fractured out for 12 to 16 weeks. We wish him well with his recovery. The other one's out is VB. Now, he was predominantly an outside tagger. Last year, excuse me, sorry, Sando, you quoted to us, I remember vividly saying, good teams don't tag. We had a bit of fun with that. So what's your philosophy now, Sando? And who could it be?
I think we've got a couple of guys who can play that role, and I mean, we didn't run with anyone yesterday, but I know you sort of quickly say that Port had 12 of their best players out, and we had probably 6 or 7 of our better players out. But I think at the right times, I mean, certainly, we've got Geelong first up, who have got some really important players, and then obviously Port, Ollie Wines was great yesterday in the second half, and, Boak's a damaging player. Hartlett's got, wins plenty of outside ball. So it's a little bit about who we want to sort of shut down. Certain teams you want to lock down that inside mid, and other teams it's the outside spread and, I guess, speed and class that you want to try and shut down. So we've got a couple of guys that can play that role, whether it's a Matty Wright or a Sam Kerridge or a Brodie Smith, or we've probably got 3 or 4 options, I think. Even a few of these young kids that are on the rookie list, who come in and who are hungry can potentially play that role as well. But we know that VB's done it as well as anyone for us over the last probably 3 or 4 or 5 seasons. So he's always going to be a difficult player to replace.
The importance of ball movement and skill from the back line, the run and carry in every team is a diamond, and individuals give you that. Brodie Smith, for me, you mentioned his name, just makes great decisions under pressure. Boy, off of one step, he can hit a target, whether it be 25 metres or one step, 50 metres. Yep. I'm just sensing, I'd love to see him through the midfield. You mentioned he would, but I don't know whether you can afford to take him out of the back half. You need a couple of him, Sando.
Well, not today after the Henderson one, I think, Rowie. I mean,
that's done now.
It's one that we've been talking about a lot during the summer, and he's done a lot of work with Campo, our midfield coach. We're looking at him playing more sort of wing or inside mid, but I think today with the Henderson injury, we're probably going to have to, leave him across half back, because he does play tall and small, and he has got speed, and he's got that beautiful kick. So I think sort of Henderson was earmarked for that role, but it's probably going to be more sort of Smith now. With hopefully we get Brent Riley, who's a little bit of a sort of forgotten man because he didn't play much for us last year, but with him coming back from shoulder surgery, hopefully early in the season, we can hopefully use those guys across half back with a fair bit of drive as well. We spoke to him on the weekend. He said his shoulder was too tightly wound up. He had to go back in and loosen a few screws, Sando. Yeah, it's a shame, because he's really fit, Radar. He's looking a lot leaner, looking a lot lighter, and he's been finding the ball really well in all our match simulation drills. But because of his shoulder, as you said, they actually tightened it up too much, which is typically what they do when you have a shoulder reconstruction, because you don't want it to pop out again. But it was probably a little bit too tight, So he just had some minor clean-up surgery done last week. But hopefully, early in the season, I won't put a round on it, but hopefully between sort of, rounds 1 and 4, we'll see Radar back running around for us.
Carlton next Monday, we'll be calling it. Who's likely to be back for that?
Actually, I've just thrown a team up on my whiteboard right in front of me, so I can read you some names.
Done.
Scotty Thompson will definitely play. He's okay. Who else didn't play last week? I reckon Petrenko and Lynch will be in the mix. I reckon Rory Laird will probably be in the mix. There's probably a handful of other guys who will just have to wait and see how they got through the game on the weekend. But
Andy Otten?
Andy Otten's the other one, correct. Andy Otten's the other one, yeah. I mean, those guys, they're ready to go. I'd love to say Brad Crouch, but I think he might be another week away. He's probably more the GWS game. And then we're almost close to full strength, apart from the injuries to Riley, Van Berlo, Walker and now Henderson. We're going to be close to almost getting our best squad together for the last 2 rounds.
I was out at training on Saturday. I watched you boys train. I got there early to see Tex Walker running around. Honestly, he could play today, Sando.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I see too, Rowie. And listen, I made a mistake. I put my hand up. I was so excited pre-Christmas, and I did that press conference and I said he should be right for round 1. Well, he might not be ready for round 1. Okay. He just looks awesome. He looks really fit. He's been meticulous with his rehab and. He'll play when he's ready, and that's a conversation that has to be had between his surgeon, the club doctor, Tex, myself, and probably Duncan Kellaway, who's done most of his rehab with him. But when he's right, and we're really confident, when Tex feels really confident he can get out and play, I think we're going to see him back in some really good form.
I might say something silly here, but could it have possibly been a good thing for him? No one likes an injury like that, but are there enough positives and changes to him, because you just hear so many good things about him, that could it be in a funny way a positive thing for him?
Yeah, maybe. I know the angle you're taking with it, Bone, but I've been really impressed. I mean, no one's probably jumped off the page more with that sort of improvements in leadership and the way they carry himself around a footy club. And, Tex, since when I first walked in the door in September 2011, I haven't seen more improvements in one player than Taylor Walker, and he's in our leadership group now. As I said, the way that he's handled his rehab, from a really serious knee injury is a real credit to him. And I just hope, fingers crossed, he comes back and doesn't have any issues, because I'd love for him. He's still only a kid. He's only 23. Yeah. He's got, 7 or 8 or 9 years of really good footy ahead of him. Working with that forward line with Eddie Betts and sort of J-Pod and Jenkins and McKernan and Otten and all those guys, I think he's going to be in for a really good couple of years.
Tell us about your 2 leaders on the weekend. Paddy Dangerfield leads them out and was quite animated before the game, certainly as the players ran out, tapping everybody. Rory Sloane, we just love him and knows what he brings to the group, both verbally and I guess the way he plays the game.
Yep. Did
you have advice for them leading in, or what was the message to them?
Oh, not so much. I think they both played reasonably well. I know Dangerfield got tagged by Moore, and as you know, we put him on ice at 3/4 time. That's all we needed to see from him, was just to get through 3/4. But we looked at some vision today with just the coaches, which will show the players tomorrow, where both of those boys showed some really good communication around stoppage and things like that, which was really impressive. So they're going to take time to sort of settle into the role as well, and dual acting captains, they're sort of going to be feeling their way a little bit as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But so far I've been really happy with what I've seen from those 2 boys.
Sando, how did your new dynamic, if you like, or chemistry go in the coach's box with your different personnel?
Good. VB was in there too, which was great. VB's another set of experienced eyes that he was sort of looking at some transition stuff for us. I sat next to David Noble, who's obviously sat in the coach's box for a long time and got a fantastic footy brain. We had Doc Clark up in looking at stoppages and centre bounce, which was good. So once again, we'll use the NAB Cup as well as coaches as an opportunity to sort of get into the groove a bit as well, and we'll make some little minor adjustments to how we worked on the weekend. And looking forward to playing Carlton that Eddie had next Monday, and then again GWS about a week or so later, just to make sure we're really well prepared for Geelong round 1.
Last one, Sando, one runner, Bodie. I spoke to him afterwards. He was tonguing it, so he's going to be out there. And less rotations. You averaged around the 160. You're at the high end.
Yep.
One game, you've seen it. What's your feel?
I think we're probably, to be honest, the one club who's going to have to make the biggest adjustment. Yeah. As you said, we did spin them pretty quick, and we did put speed on the game. We're going to try, and as you know, we'll try and play through a lot more of our midfielders through forward, and some of those guys that play across the wing for us might have to spend time across half back. But that's fine. That's what the NAB Cup's for. We've got the practice games to keep experimenting with how we do it. Our guys were pretty exhausted at the end of the game, but that's what the NAB Cup series is for, is to get guys into some form leading into round one. So we'll have to see how that plays out at the start of the season.
Last quickie before we let you go, Sando. We thank you for your time joining us on Double A. It looked like a noticeable change to that structure. Now, I don't know whether it's because of the rotations, but the two forwards, and they were often the two big boys, seemed to be pretty well stuck inside 50 and didn't want to empty out too often. Was that just the way the game unfolded, or was that by design?
I won't give too much away, but a little bit of both, to be honest. I think a little bit about the way that Port defend, and a little bit about the way that we want to play. But you're right. We probably kept those two key forwards a bit closer to home this week.
Right,
Sando, thanks for your time. Well picked up, Boney. Did it in the call. A winning start's a good start. The team looks fit and hungry. Sando, all the best, and roll on round one. But you got Carlton Monday, February the 24th at Etihad, 7:10. We'll be calling it. Let's just hope Eddie goes to the right change rooms, Sando.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm going home for a nice cold beer. It's been a tough day.
Well done, Sando. Yeah, and repeating that news again, Ricky Henderson. And you can feel the hurt. That's his coach.
Yep.
And that's a big ramification, because Sando said Brodie Smith was going to come to the midfield and Ricky Henderson was playing his role.
It's a game changer.
Brodie Smith stays home. Sando, our guest.